Hello and happy Thursday. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. And man, we had a heck of a day of racing last week with the Pegasus. Had some really, really cool races. Obviously, the Pegasus was probably worst case scenario for every single person involved. But, you can't win them all. But it was a fun day of racing. And we are right into Derby season, and I believe it's spelled SZN. I could also be too old to say that, but hey, whatever. We saw that influencer marketing last week, so maybe we gotta get hot on that influencer train. But speaking of influencers, got a fun guest this week. And you may know him from places such as On the Wrong Lead, maybe the notorious OTB. He's been all over the web, and most recently turned into I guess, a modern day Picasso with AI art, otherwise
Yeah.
hairless. Chase Sessoms. How you
Yes.
doing, Chase?
I think that was very flattering for Picasso to put him in the same breath as me with what I do.
Yeah,
Honestly, thank you for that respect.
I'm sure his family would appreciate it and
Yeah,
would show you the same amount of respect. How you doing,
totally.
Chase?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just living life. You're right. It was I was very down on Pegasus week. Like it's the Pegasus. What's the big deal? And it actually, it brought me in. It brought me in. It ended up being pretty compelling racing. So I was happy with it.
Was it the racing, or was it Alex Earl saying, "Hey, I think I got addicted to gambling," as she went to the ATM on Instagram?
Right. Yeah. Um. Not so much that. It was mainly the racing, quite honestly. Yeah, that's not the greatest look, I suppose, but yeah. I understand. I think your buddy Andrew put a pretty good spin on it.
Yeah, and obviously we had an episode of Drinking Champagne go up today, where Andrew and I talked about it a little bit. We didn't talk so much about the negative, like the stuff she posted, but just talked a little bit more general about influencer marketing, and just talked a little bit about Vegas. And there was another viral tweet he had, or semi-viral, but as viral as Andrew Champagne gets, which is probably like 10 or 15K impressions. Um, but talking about the pricing for March Madness. But speaking of addicted, the man who I know is addicted to all things plastic, Mr. Mark Capitan. How you doing, Mark?
All things plastic. I mean, I figured you would have said all things Delta Downs or something. Gone with,
Um,
I mean, all things cheap, terrible horse racing. Yeah. No, what's up, man?
I mean, I barely was in on the stream for less than like maybe 10 seconds before you were offering up more disc golf discs. So,
This is true.
and I asked you, I was like,
Yeah,
"Why are you getting rid of them?" He's like, "No, I have too many." Which
that was a thing that happened.
I've actually been going through the same thing. I was organizing my bag a little bit today, and uh, I had a rack, and then I had a couple of drawers over in my closet filled with discs, and now I have just big old Rubbermaid tubs filled with them. So I may also have a problem, not as large as yours, because I've seen just the amount you've purchased recently, but.
That
We'll
is
have to
that
get
is
out. We'll have to get out to Arkansas and go play. What is it? Is it Idlewild that's out? No,
Yeah.
Idlewild is in.
No. What's the one they play? There's a big. What's the big
The
tourist?
one up in Jonesboro.
Yeah, Jonesboro. There you go,
Yeah,
Jonesboro.
Jonesboro Open. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
place looks.
that's
Man, guy, I went out to a good friend of mine was working a tournament here locally that like runs through like a park kind of downtown, and I got to throw a disc golf for a little bit for the first time since I've had my back held together by erector sets and good wishes, and I'm not sure if I can do it, man. I'm not sure. Like I know what it takes to throw a disc, and I'm not sure if my body will like let myself do
What
that.
about regular
I don't
golf?
mine will either.
Actually, I think regular golf isn't actually as bad. Like it's a lot easier. It seems there's a lot less like torque right where I'm like held together by metal.
Dude, I
Are you
remember
twerking while you play golf?
Yeah, I'm always twerking when I'm playing golf.
when I remember a couple years ago, Chase, you know, you had posted a video in our group chat of your swing and it was looking beautiful. It was looking
It's
crisp.
it's
It was looking
It
gorgeous.
great.
was good. It was
And
gorgeous.
then
It was a
and
beautiful.
then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, you're like, I'm laid up in bed for like at least the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah,
just
for
like,
sure.
maybe we flew a little too close to the sun there. But
In that time, I also tried to show Madeline, who was at the time maybe 4 years old, the interlocking golf grip, and I completely just like melted her brain. Like I just like full like Earl Woods it like completely melt. Just she's done. She's done with golf
there
forever.
you go.
No, okay.
But yeah, no. So we got a fun weekend of racing. We got probably about 6 races we're going to cover here. Kind of jump around the 4 kind of big circuits running around right now, with the exception of fairgrounds. But they had their prep a couple weeks ago. But yeah, so
What do you
Chase,
mean?
I know
You mean they're prep for their prep,
the
right?
prep for their prep. Well, this is also the prep for the prep, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah,
this
They
is
have
the
the
prep.
G3s and they go to
This
the
is the
G2s and they go
prep
to
for
the
the prep
G1s.
for the prep for the race that I hate derby preps, man. I hate this whole time of the year. I just hate it. It's terrible. This is the worst time of the year for horse racing.
I
Absolutely.
really
the
wish
worst.
you would have told me this before. I was like, "Hey, Derby preps are here. We should probably start streaming every week again."
I don't know. I think a couple of these races are pretty good. A couple of these races
Yeah,
kind
a
of
couple
suck.
suck.
To be fair.
There's a few of these are very vanilla. Like you read them in the forum and you're like, oh, this is just going to go exactly how I think it's going to go, and the bad guys are going to win.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of them that are interesting. There's a few. So
yeah, let's go. Let's get started. We'll go. I don't know if this is necessarily glamour order, but we'll start with Aqueduct, because I think that's what you always do. Is you start with Aqueduct, and we got the Withers here, going a mile and an eighth on the dirt, grade 3. Mark, when was the last time a Withers winner won the Derby?
I'm gonna go with I have absolutely no clue, but it was a really freaking long time ago.
Where in the world is Road Warrior when you need him?
He's
Right.
probably in chat. Is a Withers winner ever won the Derby? That would be the first question we should start with, because the problem with the Withers is it's one prep too early. There's 3 of them in a row, but it's just too early. Like, I mean, okay, it's been a long time since a Wood winner has won the Derby, but a freaking Withers winner, man, oof.
It's always this is always kind of an interesting race. I think you see the occasional bomb in these aqueduct preps, but yeah, I kind of landed on a pretty big price on the morning line in this race. But Chase is our guest. I'll let you go first. Where did you kind of land here?
I mean, I actually my top 2 horses are the way Brisnet has them listed out pretty much exactly there. I really liked Seminole Chief. I thought that Seminole Chief was a horse that had success running 2 turns. Granted, they were in restricted stakes at Gulfstream, but this Jack Sisterson horse just has kept improving every single time it's gone out. And honestly, I really think that the going 2 turns experience is going to prove to be pretty big there. So I really like Seminole Chief. And then if I wasn't looking at Seminole Chief, Uncle Heavy, the 8 for Robert Reed with Michael Sanchez up. Big turn of foot last time out, also going 2 turns, also coming in from Parks, which I believe is what I would like to call a dirty little pig boy angle, is anytime I get Park shippers into Aqueduct. So those 2 were the ones that really drew the eye.
Okay, so Matthew pointing out 7 Withers winners since 2012 have been $1 million earners. And then Matthew Bickey immediately comes in. Blue Man in 1952 was the last Withers winner. We're going way back.
I didn't realize that. That's not one I even know, and I have some really cryptic back in the day horse racing references, so that blows my mind. I did notice some horses though that have won the Withers that are Josh Special horses, like horses like Max Player or
Oh yeah.
Tabs.
Woo!
Yeah, a little,
Woo!
a horse named Bernardini. I know Josh loves him some Bernardinis, so
especially on the
there's
turf.
there's
Loves
some
him on the
Josh
turf.
specials there. Yeah.
Yeah, so funny enough, right? Of course, there's no E or 8 next to the horse that I picked here. Chase, I'm with you. I actually really like this 8 horse here, Uncle Heavy, coming in from Parks. There is a little bit of a challenge, I think, with Parks horses, because you do. Let's just say that the figures out of Parks are generally pretty fake. And the horse needs to improve even on Brisnet. I'm guessing that DRF has probably got. I don't know. I could maybe see the number juiced a little bit, but I'm sure Mark will let me know buyer wise. How's the 8 kind of fit in the rest of this field?
The 8 doesn't fit in this field
Doesn't
at
fit.
all.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
good to know.
Yeah, but I guess I'm more looking at this kind of from a semi-pace play, more of a horse has got experience routing, is stretching out a little bit more, and more importantly has passed other horses, which I think is often something that um, that gets lost in a couple of these things. And also, what I really like about this horse is if you look, this horse has been going against full fields of 9, 9, and 8. I mean, obviously the 9 also has had some pretty big fields, double digits on most of them. But a lot of times you'll get these horses that are coming in. They haven't really run against many runners like the one speed runner has gone against fields of 5 and 6. Right, and horses like that tend to just get things their own way, because there are less horses to deal with. The one I thought was kind of an alternative for me. I think more traditionally my type of horse, inside drawn speed, and a horse that has gotten the distance. Is going to need to move up. I think speed figure wise, but other than that, I think I mean a Todd Pletcher third time out, third start. You would definitely expect some improvement there. But I don't know. I really like the 8. The 8's kind of tournament play ish for me. Sitting at double digit odds, and it's going to kind of be. I don't know, trying to zig a little bit before Mark zags right into the chalk.
So normally when I cap this stuff, you kind of know your people you're on the show with, and you know how they approach the races and the kind of horses they go after. And I went this and I was like, oh my god, both of you two are going to be all over this for El Grando. So I had all sorts of reasons that I was going to fade the horse. But Linda Rice horse with a ton of recency, horse that likes the circuit, yada yada yada, all the things. And I figured Josh was going to look at that. I don't know if it's an E8, but it's an E6. I figured Josh was going to see lone speed on paper. Josh is going to be all about it. And I figured Chase would go, oh, look at this. Linda Rice, Kendrick Carmouche, horse that's got, the local angles. And I figured you two would just be all about this horse. And neither one of you even mentioned him. Okay, I color me confused, but no, El Grando is kind of an interesting player in here. I think you have to. The race begins and ends with him, by far and away the most experienced horse in the race. But clearly, Linda hasn't run this horse 9 times, thinking this was her Derby horse. This is the kind of horse that I think is good, but not this kind of class of horse, and I think takes probably quite a bit of money in here. Now, albeit this is probably not the best running of the Withers ever, but my top pick is the horse that Josh has already mentioned. That's the one horse Speedrunner. I think Speedrunner in here has every right to take a step forward. Third start for Todd Pletcher. Lascano sticks on the mount, so this is probably a C tier Pletcher Derby horse. This is one that if he can sneak into the gate and play the points games, he's going to try to do it. Probably his third or fourth, type of Derby horse. But this is a horse that I think it takes a step forward, and I think Speedrunner's a major player in here. But the horse that nobody's mentioned and I didn't like, but Aragon is very, very infrequently this wrong, is the 3 horse Lightline, the Brad Cox horse. Now, everything that's Brad Cox has run at Aqueduct this winter has been crazy live. This is a horse that broke maiden at first ask at Indiana Grand, went to Keeneland, ran a nice second, went to Oaklawn, ran another nice second, but second off the layoff, first time as a 3-year-old, seems they have 8 to 5 on the morning line, and I didn't quite know what to do with. Wouldn't be a shocker, but also not a horse I really loved. So I think this is a pretty wide open affair. My top choice is the 1, and I think there's a couple other price plays in here that you could go with. Yeah, but you guys, I don't know how you guys getting this 5. I'm so confused.
Seminole Chief. It's one. It's the 2 turns. 2. It's the fact that the horse has improved every single time out. It's also faced trouble before and still improved. And then I mean, I'm a big fan of Jack Sisterson. I think the real thing though is whenever I'm at focusing on the New York circuit, whenever horses are going 2 turns at Saratoga or going 2 turns at Aqueduct, I always pay attention to which horses have actually gone 2 turns, because the 2-turn route is kind of like a lost art when it comes to the NYRA circuit a little bit with when it comes to how many horses actually run them, because they're used to running these 1-turn miles at Aqueduct.
I mean, don't you kind of have to look at Seminole Chief and go, okay, Paco's in Florida riding somebody else. Sonny Leone doesn't seem to have a major mount in any of the major races, so he could have shipped up. And Katie Davis is a local jock who they clearly could have kept on, who was the horse that, the jock that was up to break the maiden. I mean, I love Sisterson. I think he's a great trainer. He's very underrated. But T-Mac gets the mount. It just, I don't know, man. It feels like, just feels a little
Keeping it in the
bit.
family, right? He couldn't get Katie Davis, so he gets Trevor McCarthy.
Yeah, you get the wiser half. Hey.
I will say, I think Chase is also a little biased because of the sire on the 5.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's smooth like an Iceman Gervin finger roll. That's what he is.
Wasn't Gervin was your Derby horse, wasn't it?
No, he was my Haskell horse.
Your Haskell horse. Okay.
Yeah.
So funny story about the 4 market. The biggest, like I did look at the 4 basically right away, but do you get this. The best sports reference I can think of is, you get this player, and he's been in the league for a couple years, and then they trade him for, like, he's like okay, but then they end up trading him for like a second round pick, and they're like, oh, like Justin Fields, right? They're gonna trade Justin Fields probably for like a second round pick or something, right? And they're like, a second round pick can be anything. It could even be Justin Fields, right? But basically, this horse has run 9 times, right? Obviously, has run well, but I think after you run 9 times, 8 of them as a 2-year-old, I think you kind of know what this horse is. Whereas I think some of these lighter raced horses, they just leave a little bit more to the imagination. Like, I think, like you said, the 1, I think, is the perfect example of a horse that could improve greatly off of its first 2 starts, especially broke its maiden once it got a little bit more distance under it. I see this horse that's got all these starts already before turning 3. I mean, I think this is going to be a really nice state bred horse for Linda.
Yep.
I think is going to run in some really nice state bred races, and is going to be able to run every single one of the state bred races. But I just think you kind of know what this horse is. I mean, maybe still good enough to win here, but I'll take my shot with a couple of these other horses.
Yeah, I'll just throw it out there that the 4 has about a 7-point fig advantage time form wise on that last fig compared to anybody else in the field. So take that as you will. Obviously I'm playing the game of there are some more upside horses. The only other horse I did want to mention is the sort of other Pletcher, the 9 horse. I realize you're getting Eric Cancel up, and he's been absolutely abysmal so far this Aqueduct meet, but that and I realized the horse broke its maiden, and then it's taken a couple of times, has 1 start this year, but it's Todd Pletcher. Todd Pletcher's been known to blow up some of these Derby preps at stupid prices, and the figure that came back on that 2-back race actually is the second fastest in the field here. So do you trust Churchill figs? I don't trust Churchill figs, but at 15-1, that's the kind of horse I wouldn't want to let beat me at a big price.
It's one I honestly considered too, and when you look at it now, you toss out that stumbled start in the last out, you toss out that turf, and then you've got steadily improving form. on the surface that you're going to be running on. Yeah, there's a lot to like there too as well.
Good conversation happening in chat between Steven and Matthew talking about running at 2. Matthew saying that isn't it kind of proven that running a lot at 2 is good for horse development? I thought it was just
Yep.
running at 2, not necessarily running a lot at 2. But Steven
There
saying
is some
he
data
thinks
out there
the
that shows.
opposite, but
Yeah, there is some data out there that shows that horses who run at 2 and are sound at 2, it actually does help with bone development. If they run a few times at 2, there are actually more races at 2 tends to prevent deterioration longer term. They seem to be a little more sound longer on. So
look, I'm just saying this horse already ran more times at 2 than Flightline did in his entire career.
I mean, that's a low bar, though.
It's a very low bar. But yeah, so congratulations to Brad Cox for winning the Withers, since none of us talked about him.
Yep.
I will say that it is interesting that he ships up here instead of keeping the horse for the Southwest. I mean, maybe he's scared that Bob's coming in to steal his lunch, but I don't know. Or he's looking for a slightly softer field, but
Yeah, but we've also seen Cox play this game where he's doing the Baffert game, right? Oh, I have 5 good ones in my barn. I'm going to ship them to 5 different tracks, run in 5 different preps, and play the game of, I'll run my weakest horse versus the weakest field kind of thing, and try to get as many of them into the gate on first Saturday in May. That's the game he plays.
So another exciting rendition of the Robert B. Lewis is going to be run at Santa Anita. We've already passed the deadline where Bob Baffert can move his horses, and basically didn't move any of them. So the stalemate continues there. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a stalemate, but he's basically taking his ball and not running in the Derby. But he's gonna go for the other preps since he's allowed, or the other Triple Crown races since he's allowed to run in those. But
it's amazing because he can still steal the points from other horses. Like if his horse finishes first, it's not like the horse that finished second gets all the Derby points. They still get second place points. He could literally just sweep out the rest of California from making the Kentucky Derby gate. And I got to say, as someone who hosts a podcast and always is just needing material for said podcast, just God fucking bless him for it. Like you're the goat of giving me shit to talk about, Bob Baffert.
All right, I have to step away real quick. Mark, you can take the lead here real quick.
Oh, no, I'm getting put in charge of things here. I'm glad Josh gave me a race that's literally a 1-horse race, because this should take up all of 30 seconds. So how many lengths does Nisos win by, Chase?
A lot.
Like
a whole lot.
Like all the lengths?
A lot.
Will there be another horse in frame when he crosses the finishing line?
If it is, I'm willing to bet that it would be another Bob Baffert horse. Here's the deal. Here's my thought: is you're basically trying to beat a Bob Baffert trifecta to make any sort of money in this race. Like you're not going to make any money with a Bob Exacta, but you might be able to get a Bob Try. And I've got one horse that I really like out in post 7, Stronghold for Phil D'Amato, that I honestly think could possibly get up for a piece. And I think that's the best way to think about this race, is who can get up for a piece and keep this from being exactly a Bob Baffert trifecta.
See, I actually went a little bit different than you. I think Nisos is the class of the field by absolutely 1.5 miles. I thought the 9-horse Scatify, the Justify horse in here should have the pedigree that the stretch out should, actually help this one. I realized they hit him at Los Al, and maybe that figure is a little suspect because of it, but he's got a ton of early tactical, foot. You don't go 22-2, without being pretty damn talented. It seems like he's been training really well for this. And my thought was, if I'm going to take somebody who isn't the favorite, I want I want the fresher, lightly raced face that maybe has some upside. Now, so I mean, Niso's on top, but I might try to get cute and spin somebody like I don't know, like a Scatify underneath. But other than that, man, this is not a great rendition of this race. But I think you've run into this problem where a lot of these, prep to the prep, right? Those races, nobody cares. Like, right? Like they need to run in one prep. So would you rather run in these races given the purse? And I think the purse on this is what? Okay, it's a $200,000 purse. So would you rather run on a 200K purse or run in a 90 or 100K allowance where you're going to face software company, get just the amount of prep you want, and then point towards the actual prep you want, right?
Right.
It's just like, why run here?
It's this first round, this definitely isn't like the Michael Jordan of the barn. I think whenever you run into, I mean, Nisos is a pretty nice horse. It makes me think that I'm not sure who all Bob's got right now, but he's got to have somebody else tucked away. If he's running Nisos in this race, either that or honestly, oh, never mind. It doesn't matter because Bob can't go to the Derby. See what he's doing to me. Do you see what he's doing to me,
He's
Mark?
doing to you. The Bobster is that he's mucking with your brain, right?
Yeah, but no, I mean, we've seen Bob on the warpath, and I really think that he's dickish enough that his horses go 1, 2, 3, and no one else gets Derby points, and that's the way this is how he gets his meh of it all.
Well, I mean, it becomes a thing, and obviously we're somewhat blowing time waiting for Josh to get back, so I'll throw up a screen that shows a different product. But what's his game here? I mean, is his game to basically he's saying that he's bigger than the Kentucky Derby? Is that really the game here? Like, or is it that his real horses that he knew were legit from the get go are already in Bafteen's barn?
It's possible. It's possible. How many actually became Yak Taffords?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the number. I actually, from what I read, I don't think there were very many that became Yak Teen for.
Because if they did, they made the change like a while ago, like a little bit ago. So they're pretty much like Yak Teens.
And that was my thing. Is there a certain game where if you have that type of pedigree and you're paying that kind of money for, obviously Nyquist on top, Bernardini on bottom, you're thinking classic distance horse. And if you're paying $500,000 for him, you're hoping your target's probably the Derby. If you have that kind of horse and you're paying that kind of money, are you just not putting it with Baffert now? He can't run in the Derby, so I'm not even going to try. The Derby is a goal of mine. Therefore, I'm going to go to a different trainer who has that, the ability of getting there. Is that the game, or is it one where he's playing the I'm bigger than the Derby? If I'm not there, the Derby is less important. Therefore, I'll fluff the other two legs of the Triple Crown. I mean, we already kind of know the Triple Crown's dead to some degree, but
yeah, honestly, if you look at Nisos, don't you think doesn't that just kind of feel like it's got Preakness horse written all over it?
He screams Preakness horse. He absolutely screams Preakness horse. Yeah, he's got a pedigree that says the Derby may be a little much, but I'll that little shorter, and I realize the turns aren't actually tighter, but that sort of Preaknessy feel. Yeah, this feels like your Preakness type of horse, right? So
yeah.
But it feels like 5 years ago, this would have been your Baffert's Derby horse that was the one that we all faded because we expect him to blow up on Derby Day because he had 3 starts getting to the Derby. But these days, right? Like, so,
yeah. It's I don't know. It's an interesting race, and it's kind of crazy when we have to start thinking about the business side and how, especially the business side, as how it solely pertains to Bob Baffert.
Yeah,
which is insane that anybody has that sort of machismo,
machismo. We're going to machismo. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But Josh isn't back yet, so let's talk a little Martha Washington. What are you? Or sorry, was it the megahertz?
It's the Ford gal at the 10th at Gulfstream.
Oh, we're going there. Okay, let me.
Yeah. Because we've got the Ford gal and then the Holy Bull.
I was thinking there was two races at Santa Anita, not just the one. Apparently, there's no Philly prep there, so my bad. We have the Forward gal going 7 furlongs. What is kind of an interesting little bit of a race here? What were you thinking here, Chase?
This is the one I've gotten to look at the least. I think that R. Harper Rose is going to be pretty tough to bring down with that middle fraction that this horse can put up. But if I'm going to go around it, then I have to find a horse that I feel like can maybe try to come from off the pace or rate a little bit. I think, was it With Waters Rand and Scalable were two horses I thought could maybe give it a run. And then I hadn't seen the morning lines yet. What do those say? Is that 9-5 and 9-2?
It's 9-5 and 9-2. Yeah, you're not, you didn't land up any prices, but I saw this much the same as you. I thought our Harper's Road or Scalable were probably your 1 and 2 picks. My only thing with Scalable was this is a horse that is a sort of one run closer. I think this is going 7 furlongs. The maiden break was at a mile, so a little sharper, but clearly this horse would have been in front at that 7 furlong. Maybe just one of those ones that Speightstown took a little bit of a step, turning as a 3-year-old. I think those felt like your two kind of major players here. I had some others, but this is one of those, we talked about some of these races that felt a little vanilla. This felt a little vanilla. It didn't feel like there was a price in here that you're going to get super excited about.
Yeah, there aren't too many ways to go. I mean, either you see our Harper's Rose running them into the ground, or
Yep.
it gets softened up perfectly for a horse like Scalable. So I mean, you're kind of, it's really, the race is very much cleared up for itself. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a pretty good morning line, honestly, to be fair.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree with you. The only other horses I thought were a little bit interesting it was this 2-horse Fiona's Magic, who's a horse that's won her last 2, and she's won them going. She's never missed the exact at Gulfstream. Low percentage trainer, but Gaff looks like he had choices. Looks like he could have been on the 1, or I think there was another horse he was on here in this race for a win. He ends up on Fiona's Magic, who has quite a bit of tactical speed. I don't think the stretch out here is going to be any problem. And the horse has won her last 2 by 9.5 lengths. I mean, one of those was a maiden break by 7, but still, seems to be the kind of improving type. Doesn't really need to take a huge step forward to be a major player in here. And I thought Fiona's Magic at a little bit of a price was kind of interesting.
I'll tell you, of the horses that we've mentioned so far, that was the only other one that I was considering that we hadn't talked about. So we pretty much do see this exactly
the same way. And that's what I was saying when I mentioned some of these races felt really vanilla when we kind of did the lead. It felt like it very much felt like. And I guess when I say vanilla, I mean, I think the board has it. The morning line had it right. There's not a lot of value. It's not like I can toss a favorite. It's not like I can find a price. So, Josh is a little indisposed. Apparently something broke at work. He got paged and he has to go fix the hospitalness. So, we'll continue cranking through here.
All right,
yeah, man. Anybody else in here that you feel like we need to talk about?
Honestly, I didn't see anyone else. I mean, you could maybe think a horse like Kissed by an Angel, if Luis Saez can give him a patient ride to maybe pick up pieces if it turns out that like Fiona's Magic or our Harper Rose get out there and just go on a suicide pact, and then that's a nice little pocket trip that I think could maybe pick up some pieces. Outside of that one, I'd probably prefer that 7 to be more the first run type horse, though, that I'd like to get at with Waters Rand. Plus, also on that course coming off the all weather, which I'm always a sucker for, with the 7 there. So, but yeah, Kissed by an Angel definitely has a chance to pick up pieces and do a little bit of damage.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Kissed by an Angel was a little interesting. You're getting Luis Saez up, who's obviously extremely dangerous, extremely talented jockey. Horse does have a win going this trip. And this is also an interesting one, barn change and, a horse that maybe there's still some upside there. Well raced, has some experience. You always wonder, do the barn changes shake things up a little bit? Is this one that can take a little bit of a step forward here, getting the second start of the year? So, I thought the same thing. I guess I was wondering. It's one of those, like, you sometimes look at races and you're like, why are you here? Like, what are you doing in this race? And that one felt a little like that. Just sort of, maybe they figured something out, and maybe this one's taking that proverbial turn, going 2 to 3. So,
yeah, the why are you here factor, those horses that are why are you here, those are always worth a bet because someone knows something that you obviously don't know, right?
Yeah,
it's either cannon fodder to fill out the field, or someone knows.
Well, there's a whole thing of getting black type, right? Getting a black type placing. If you're looking at selling this horse later on, you can say, oh, she finished 3rd in a grade 3. That does definitely increase her broodmare ness. But that's not a sexy pedigree or anything. So you sort of go, geez, I wonder if this one's in here and they know something. So,
Yep.
cool. You want to talk a little Holy Bull?
It's Holy Bullet.
I'm glad Josh isn't here because I guarantee you Josh has no clue who Holy Bull actually is. And that makes me a little sad, I mean, let's say a little more than a little sad. That makes me very sad. I mean, you know who Holy Bull is, right? Like Holy Bull's Holy Bull. Like it's
Holy Bull. It's Holy Bull. No, I'm with you.
Holy Bull was, yeah. Josh is like, wait, the horse ran more than 2 years ago. I don't know who that horse is. I have no idea.
I have a little bit of I don't have the best sense of history, but I've got a little bit. I mean, I did just read an entire book about Alidar and the suspicious death of
dude,
Alidar.
the whole Alidar saga is just brutal. That if what is suspected to have happened actually did happen, that is
brutal.
Brutal doesn't even get you there. That's just horrible.
Oh.
Absolutely horrible on so many levels. So
the book is called Broken. And I had the author Fred Cray on the show a couple
no way.
Yeah, so I got the book for Christmas. I read it and then got him on the show pretty soon afterwards to talk about it. And it was like, you should check it out. It was awesome. He's got this like great like Quiet Storm made for radio kind of voice and stuff. And like,
wow.
it was awesome. You should check it out. You should definitely check out the book.
No, that's absolutely sick, dude. That's very cool. No, I will definitely check that one out. That's yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of great horse racing books, and I do love a good book. Let's sit on the beach, read a book, or whatever, downtime, that kind of thing. It's always nice to have.
And you feel like a crime procedural kind of story, like if you like true crime kind of stuff, then you'd probably dig this too.
Nice, very nice, man. Very nice. So, in this race, and
I noticed you scrolled right to somebody in this race here.
I may have scrolled right to somebody, and I'm gonna do one of these because on our on our Breeders' Cup stream, I said I thought this was a very interesting player at a very big price in a race that I thought some of the major players were a little suspect. On very rare occasions, I am right. This was one of those very rare occasions. But when I look at this field in the Holy Bull, this is not the best version of this Holy Bull. I think Fierceness could probably run back to his maiden breaker and be an absolutely major player in here. Johnny V keeps the mount out of the Breeders' Cup Juvie, and which I think is also an interesting thing. A little bit Todd Pletcher throwbackness. But what are your thoughts in here? I mean, does this race begin and end at Fierceness?
Yeah, honestly, like you said, if this horse regresses, like even if it regresses a bunch, it's still a whole lot faster than everybody in this field. It would have to throw out an absolute clunker like where it had the lunge start in the Champagne, and I just don't quite see that happening. I don't know if that was some sort of aberration in the mud or what the deal was, but yeah, if Fierceness can do anything close to what Fierceness has done, Fierceness will win this race going away. And it doesn't help me that the workout pattern on this is just a beautiful kind of like fast, slow, fast, like ass man power move. Yeah.
Yeah, it's peak Todd Pletcher when he's got a monster and he's just babying him along, and he's gonna get some derby points, get a prep, and this is his baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of think it's with that. And so I started handicapping for second place, or a horse I think I might be worth a win bet. And the only other horse that I could come up with was the one Hades on the rail with Paco Lopez up for Joseph Orsino. Horse improved 2 straight. Took a bump, and every time it's added distance, which is, I mean, it's only raced 2 times, but really took a step forward when it added distance going into that allowance race with State Bred Company. So is it a long shot that this horse could beat Fierceness? Yeah, but if you hit it, you probably will get paid accordingly. But I definitely have this horse at number 2 in exactas and trifectas.
Yeah, I would say, I looked at Hades long and hard. I thought that was a really interesting horse. I love horses that like to win. Clearly, horse is 2 for 2 lifetime, and it's never really been challenged. I don't know what the trip ends up being that Hades really gets. I don't necessarily love the rail, and I really worry that he gets a little buried in there early, but he's got they have room to to kind of get out of trouble. So Hades is definitely a major player and an interesting outsider, I guess I would say. Definitely needs to take a step forward. The other horse that I thought was a little bit interesting was the 3-horse Otello for Christophe Clement. Horse that has wins going, or has won 2 times going a mile. Pedigree says the stretch out shouldn't be a problem. Curlins can, this is well, I mean, top and bottom. This one may even want to go further than this. And but a horse that's going to have a lot to do in the lane, and it's going to have to hope that somebody really softens up fierceness. But I thought it was a little interesting that Otello beat. I think C Streak is probably your second choice in here. I guess. Oh wow. I guess C Streak is very much longer. I was expecting C Streak was going to be a lot shorter than that, but no, I thought Otello was a little interesting in here. Another horse that's undefeated, and for me, that's my other kind of underneath type, but it becomes, I always hate, like, how do you bet a race like this? Do you just kind of sit back, set in your hands and watch? Do you try to play a straight exacta? Because the pace complexion is going to be really wonky in here. You're going to have one horse that may win by 20 and then who runs second? Like, how do you manage this from a betting standpoint?
For me, I go ahead and I do very much. I try to play that in exact, and I try to either play it straight or straight plus a horse that I like at like a price in the exacta that I'm actually getting like a decent exacta return on, and just kind of hope for the best for second. But I've definitely pound that main opinion that I would be willing to go straight on, and just kind of Dutch out exacta bets that way. Same thing, and then see if there's any value in the daily double.
Okay. Yeah, no, and that would be how I would look at it from a double or a pick 3 or maybe even a skinny pick 4 if that's an overlay that's available. But one thing I'm kind of watching chat here, and obviously Matthew Bickey is very sharp, very good tournament player, and he is putting 6 horses that he is using in this race. And to me, that's a really interesting. I'd love to see. Throw it up here for everybody. Matt is somebody who's very sharp, and if he's not just trying to slam fierceness in here, I wonder if, he uses a lot of proprietary products and things. And I wonder if he's looking at this and saying, maybe this race is a little more wide open than we think. The only thing I do scratch my head at a little bit in here with fierceness. And then obviously I think we're both kind of gushing about the horse that threw up just has 2 massive performances so far.
Yeah.
Is why is fierceness here? Like, why wouldn't you skip this race? You head for what's the prep for the Florida Derby? The
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 Fountain of Youth.
the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you skip this point for the Fountain of Youth? Does Todd think that maybe he's this one's ready to roll and he needs to run here, or is he sort of wondering if something's up, or there is some question, there are some question marks in that regard of why is fierceness even in this race? And I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but it kind of is. You kind of wonder.
Yeah, you kind of wonder if they want to just maybe try to get Derby points early and then get this horse like, they're not planning on running this horse just a ton, and I think a win in the Holy Bull would be pretty close to being enough points to get you in, and maybe just have to run another time, not fully cranked to be able to do it, which I'm not a proponent of necessarily running a horse not fully cranked, but man, it's hard for me to say no to a Todd play. I know like the knock on the horse is that it's coming off of a long layoff from the BC Juvenile, but I mean, we've talked about this before. I love horses coming in off of Todd Pletcher witness protection, where like you don't see them for a few months and then all of a sudden they pop up and they're a monster again,
Yeah. Yeah, no, you do, but you sort of wonder, is Todd trying to? I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I mean, is there a chance that maybe he runs here, skips the next prep, and then ends up in the Florida Derby, or does he play some sort of games? Or I don't know, but I would love to hear the plan here. I mean, maybe he's just planning on running, going old school and running all 3 preps, take all the money, and go to the Derby as your favorite. That could be it too.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's definitely, I mean, it's Rapoli. The thing that he wants more than anything else is a Derby. So whatever they think is going to get this horse into the Derby gate and like in a good position, I think is what they'll do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. And I think that means that we are on to the home of one Wolf of Oaklawn, right?
Yeah, the spiritual stomping grounds of the old wolf
of the
himself.
of the old wolf himself. Chase, I'll let you lead off. What were you thinking here in the Southwest?
Well, there's absolutely no value in playing the favorite Denim and Pearls here. And I think I'm against it because, ladies and gentlemen, second Cox emerges. I'm going all the way out to number 9 in good taste in the
Oops.
Martha Washington.
Whoops. 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 Whoops.
You're on the set.
Wait, what?
Yeah, ninth.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I
a
don't actually think I capped this race. So yeah, minor detail, but
okay. I'll run through it. So the chalk here is going to be Denim and Pearls. Looking at this, it looked like there's actually a pretty decent amount of pace. And I liked a horse that could kind of sit first run off of it. And it's this 9 in good taste that I'm getting a pretty juicy. I want to say it's either 6-1 or 8-1 on.
8-1.
8-1 here for a horse that's improved in 2 starts. Sure, you got the Flo Cox with Denim and Pearls with Florent Giroux up, but Brad Cox is hitting at 25% with Martin Schwann. And I think that this one, Maiden Breaker last out, ran a huge figure, stumbled in the last out in the first outing, showed that it can actually pass horses. A nice little fast then slow kind of workout pattern. And I think that this one could really surprise as the second Cox that just kind of pops out of a closet and plunders it late.
Cox popping out of closets, plundering things. I mean that's a little. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well played.
that's
Well,
exactly
yeah.
where I was headed with
Is
that.
that
You know what's
exactly
up.
where you were going? Jeez, man, that's a little, oh boy. So I just sort of speed handicapped this while you were talking, and I really kind of like this 7 Hush It Honey.
Yeah,
Time form.
that's
Yeah,
my
I was
other pick. Yeah, man.
yeah, I would say time form really liked the figure on that last race. That came back really good. It's nice to see a horse have a local win. That's something that's always a big thing for me. In that last out optional 62 where the horse was not in for a tag, has some speed, should be able to say kind of a pocket trip just off. Randy Morris is always dangerous, especially at Oaklawn. I think he points his barn for the meet, and he's a very high percentage guy there. He's 21% on the meet so far. I don't think they need the lead necessarily. They didn't make it last time out, so it seems the horse could be a little bit tactical. And this is also a horse, if you look at the form cycle, has been kind of slowly progressing and slowly taking steps forward. I wonder if this could be one that's very well meant here at a bit of a price.
No, we did top pick whenever I did the show earlier. We did top picks and value picks in this race. I did this one with Crystal Conning, and yeah, for me it was in good taste and Hush It Honey in that order. I do like Hush It Honey. I like, especially if you toss out that Trouble Trip 2 back.
Yep.
Then you have a horse that's like on the improve, and then did you just like unwittingly take an Archie bred to win a nice stakes race?
Oh God, I didn't notice that. Oh geez. Oh man.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh boy. Oh
Hey,
man.
man,
Like I
it's
said,
not your typical Archie bred.
when I speed cap, I don't necessarily look at breeding. And oh man, too much bling over a painter dam. That's actually a pretty cool pedigree, to tell you the truth. Like I don't hate that. I didn't realize
Yep.
too much bling ended up back in Archie, huh?
I guess so. Must be doing something with well, it's with Flurry. I have no idea what the deal is.
Well, is it Monica Yarnborough? Isn't she? She's a big Archie breeder, isn't she?
I think so.
I've heard that name before, and I don't follow the Archie scene that much. I figured you would know her. So
It's you only get to see past performances from Arkansas for so many months of the year. But I know Flurry. Flurry's an Arkansas name, and so I'm sure
yeah.
that was on Flurry for that one that have too much bling. But it's not your typical Archie bred because it didn't like make it start in Arkansas and then completely just go on the shelf like while the Oaklawn meet wasn't running, and then only come back for the Arkansas bred races. So it's a little bit of cut above, I think.
Okay, I guess so it's a more quality Archie bred. I'll tell you what, the one thing I am, obviously we always pick on Archie breds, and it
It's like
seems
a
to be
Billy Bob Thornton, you know.
yeah, I mean, it really is. It's oh man, it's the shallow end of the gene pool kind of a thing. But I will say the one thing the Archie bred program has done really well at is they've had some really good, really talented horses along the way, and they've kind of brought them back home. And it seems as though, there was 10 years ago the Archie bred program was a joke. Today, I think you're getting to the point where that's not, I mean, is it like a Kentucky bred? No. But it's starting to get to the point where you're kind of like, they're kind of similar to like a New York bred or a Cali bred. They're not, there's definitely some good quality, and they're a little more rangy. You're seeing, it used to be like, for a long time, New York's breds were only could run 6 and 7 furlongs. That was all they could do. And now you're seeing New York breds that it can do more things. It's similar with the Archie breds. You're seeing more versatility, better horses, better definitely quality of animal they're putting out, and you got to love the state bred programs. That's so owner friendly, so local friendly, such a cool vibe.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to talk about just lucrative. I mean, you run these horses in $115,000 maiden special weights,
Yeah,
on multiple times weekly. Like it's big money that if someone can breed an impressive Arkansas horse, they can have all the money,
yeah,
Mark, all of
yeah.
the money.
Yeah, the state bred incentives in Arkansas are as good or better than basically any state in the country. New York has a good program, but Archie really they do it right. So it's nice to say. So,
Yeah.
any other horses in here we need to talk about, Chase?
No, those were my two that I was in on.
Yeah, and apologies. I thought we were only covering the Southwest. I missed the fact that I didn't the Martha Washington used to be a G3.
I want to say it used to be graded. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it used to be graded, and I've been wrong before. Obviously, I'm wrong very often, but no, I was my bad for missing that one. So, the going the mile on a 16th again, the prep to the prep to the prep at Oaklawn, the grade 3 Southwest. Who did this? I think we talked about some of these races where um the fields were not the best, and they were sort of vanilla, and this is not one of those. This is an interesting little race. I don't think it's that hard to get past some of the shorter priced horses. So I'm really interested, where's the local boy with all that local knowledge? Where did you land here? What horses were interesting to you in this race?
The two that I really liked, the first one who is my top pick is going to be the 6 Liberal Arts. I want to say that is at 6-1, 6-1 on the morning line. Yeah, the horse
Each
won the
one.
streets 8 to
Even better.
1. Yeah, horse won the street sense. Had a good running in the Iroquois. Like the penny, you can tell the penny kind of dropped a little bit in the street sense where the horse really kind of put it together and ran a really strong race. So
Mhm.
I really like the looks of this one, especially with how the pace is shaping up. It's going to be wet. Matthew DeSantis had some really good track stats that show that like horses like coming from like 3+ lengths off like are doing just as well in the wet at Oaklawn as they would be on the dry
Wow.
tracks. Yeah.
That's a
Like,
stat you never see because it's normally wet tracks. Really, front runners are massive, massive.
yeah,
But that's one thing.
I
No, go ahead.
think that I think that explains why so many people get their asses spanked because we've had so many wet days and they think that it automatically is just going to be horses carrying on the front, like which is
Yep,
the assumption that I
that's the
think a lot
norm.
of us would
Yeah.
make. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you see sealed and when you see sloppy, that's just what you think is going to happen. But no, it's an extremely fair surface even when it's wet and it's been kind of chewing up early speed. So I'm definitely on Liberal Arts if Medina can have this one ready to run off of the layoff, and if it does and moves up a point or two, then I think you can get a nice little winner there at a pretty good price. And I went way far outside from my second horse that I really like is the 11 Just Steel. Um, Dwayne, I know this one ran a lot as a 2-year-old, but that's also just kind of what Dwayne does. Like he doesn't really believe in putting these horses on the shelf. Like he's got the horse, he's going to run it, and it's not like he can't train up a. It's not like he's archaic and can't train up a horse that could be on the Kentucky Derby prep ride because I mean he's done the same thing with fillies. So I'm all over Just Steel here because I think it sets up really well for this horse to be sitting like a really wide stalking trip and come closing right up the middle of the damn track when just kind of Oaklawn, wet track, rail and trail bias fashion.
Okay. No, I mean, I did not realize that it was going to be sloppy down there. I probably should have because it seems like it's always sloppy on these big days down in down in Arkansas. But no, I ended up on my top two horses were pretty logical. Maycox Bay, the one who is again your massive Tommy's there, has a maiden breaker over the wind or over the wet, so should handle it quite fine. For Stidham and Godolphin, horse has got a bunch of early tactical speed, has all the the intrinsics. I mean, or intrinsics you're looking for, being by Godolphin for Stidham. But again, this is a Speightstown going long, so there's always those questions of, will this horse necessarily handle the stretch out? And so I thought that was, enough of a question mark that you want to look other places. And I thought, Carbone, the 7 was also an interesting player, another horse that's undefeated, even more early speed. And another horse that probably should handle the off going fairly fine, but with Matol on top, Street Sense on the bottom. But I think the more I look at this race, and again, I've become a kind of a big time form person as the more I play. There should be a lot of pace in here. Like there
Yep.
should be quite a bit of pace pressure in this race. So I sort of wanted somebody who could sit a little off it and was a horse that had been shown to have a closing kick. And it seems that that the one and only Matt Bickey and I are also in agreement. I thought Awesome Road is really interesting in here. This is a horse that is out in the parking lot out of the gate, but horse broke his maiden at first ask on at Ellis, and then ran in the Breeders' Futurity and then the Kentucky Jockey Club, right back to back. So two very deep end of the pool 2-year-old races where you tend to see the best of the best, and horses that come out of both of those races tend to be major players in the Derby preps and in the Derby scene. It's Brad Cox, it's Florent Giroux. Horse is not necessarily a closer, but I think I'm looking at time form stuff. Seems to be a horse that can kind of sit mid pack and is a late pace horse, a horse that can press but has the ability to close. And the Tomlinson said this one should handle an off track really well. Flo has to negotiate a trip and not get floated 5 or 6 wide around both corners. But you're probably going to get every bit of that 8-1 morning line. So I thought the 12 horse Awesome Road was a really interesting player in what is a pretty wide open affair. And considering we have no Josh, I had a couple other horses that I liked, but I didn't know if you had anybody else in here that was, bombs away that you thought was interesting.
So I will say, you mentioned Carbone. I'm hearing some chatter that Carbone could be the real deal. And
Okay.
Asmussen has said as much is
Yeah.
the chatter that I've heard. Because he was apparently schooling down in the paddock, and someone saw him in the paddock office and was like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "That's Carbone. He's the bee's knees apparently." So
Okay.
I think you might be onto something there. Uh, you know, uh Winstock is going to be tough to beat. I think you can beat Winstock. This is, after all, a Lars shipper. It's a Losal rail shipper, horse that won off the rail last out at Losal in the
Oh, you're
future.
breaking out the good old fashioned Lars, huh?
Yeah, the good old Lars angle. I think that Winstock could maybe do something, but if the track is not kind to early speed, then you can honestly just go ahead and just toss Winstock and start swinging at bigger prices that are going to be coming, making that middle move that the track likes so much, or the horse is going to be coming from off the pace, kind of where we both kind of decided that you needed to be in the race shape.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so do you think Winstock ends up being on the lead here? Because I didn't really see it that way, but if you did, I mean, obviously you're the local guy. You kind of know this place better than I do.
I think he goes out with Maycox Bay. I
Okay.
just that's kind of what I think the Bob move is going to be, is going to, especially if it's wet, because it seems like, I bet you his horses just hate to have any sort of kickback in the face. So if
Yeah.
he's, I could see him either being on the lead or just wide of the lead, just wherever he's not getting dirt slung in his face.
Cool. No, I could definitely yeah. I mean, it's one of those things also, when you see these shippers, it's sometimes hard to tell, like, were they on the lead because of it was just where they inherited, or were they on lead because they were
Right.
sent, or the intent, or the type that needs the lead? Like, there's a lot there, and oftentimes, Bob does train his horses to run to the front to stay out of trouble, which is, I can't fault him for that. But I tend to agree with you. I think Winstock could win, but probably takes way more money than his likelihood of winning. And I would
Right.
be I'm okay with him beating me. Like in a ticket, I'm quite okay with getting beat by that kind of horse. Pedigree does say he should handle it, but this seems like a bit of an odd Baffert as well. This is, I mean, they paid a lot of money for him, but man, pedigree wise and the type of horses that end up in the Baffert barn, this does not seem like the normal Baffert.
Yeah, can you imagine Bob when he was training Solomini just being like, "Boy, I can't wait to get my hands on a Solomini." No,
Right? Like that's exactly it. You're like, "Wait,
said no one ever.
said no one, things said by no one ever." Um, One other horse I did want to talk about in here, and that is the 10 horse Mystic Dan. Um, I was looking through here, and again, like I said, I do use a lot of time for him. Mystic Dan happens to be your second fastest time form figure horse in this in this race. And the thing is, he's kind of backed it up as well. His maiden breaker at Churchill, that 5.5 furlong race, came back huge in time for him, where he absolutely blew away the field. The optional 100 in the middle, you could argue that you either didn't love the church or whatever trip. There was some other weird stuff in there, and his Smarty Jones came back as a huge figure as well. He's going to be a huge price. It's Ken McPeak at Oaklawn, which is kind of free money at a lot of times because there's a lot of high percentage Oaklawn trainers, but Ken McPeak stuff oftentimes does not take money. And again, I worry about the pace complexion with him. I worry if he's going to be a little too much involved with it early, but I thought he was an interesting player that is kind of a bit of an outsider in here at a bit of a price.
I I just couldn't quite get there. For me, when I looked at the speed, just averaging everything out, I didn't think that Mystic Dan was quite fast enough. And then I anticipate Mystic Dan being out towards the front and trying to go. And I mean, if the horse goes from the 10 hole, then it's going to have a lot to get past if the horse actually does need to be out towards the front. It could easily get hung really wide too with that much speed, and this one drawing out so wide. So I wasn't as big on Mystic Dan. No offense to yourself or
No,
Matthew
no, no
Dickey.
taken, not taken.
But yeah, I yeah couldn't quite get there though. I am a big fan of the jockey hashtag BJHJ Brian J Hernandez Jr.
Wait, BJ, what?
Oh, hashtag BJHJ.
BJHJ, man, that's a lot of hashtagging. Whew,
Yeah,
that's a lot of acronyms, man. That's a
they're
lot.
they're provocative. I'll give you that.
We're going with provocative. Okay, very cool.
Provocative.
So I'm hearing from our normal host that apparently they done effed up some things at the hospital. He's going to be out of commission for a bit of time. So Chase, buddy, obviously I haven't seen you in forever. So
Mhm.
what you been up to? Where can the people find you? Where are they going to hear your stuff? I occasionally I do appear on the podcast, mainly when I win large five figures. In the
Yeah.
Breeders' Cup, but where can they find you? Where can they hear your good stuff?
Yeah, man. You can check out my podcast, The Notorious OTB. It's available through the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's available for download wherever you get your pods. So check that out. We're usually up 3 times a week, Wednesday through Friday, looking at the racing action, and been able to have some pretty good guests, Mark included in that list. And we just recorded an episode today with Sarah El Badwe. El Badwi. I've apparently been saying her name wrong the entire time that I've known her, and that just came to today. Sarah El Badwi was on, and we had a good episode. I was also on with Crystal Conning to talk more about all the stakes races on the Oaklawn card. So check that out. If you do college basketball, I'm doing Gym Rats on Saturday morning with XFL Jim and Uncle Rico talking college basketball picks. And just give me a follow at of Oaklawn on Twitter and the show at notorious_OTB.
Oh, very solid, man. Very solid. Yeah, I will say Sarah, I have met her a number of times in person. She's as nice, if not nicer in person than she is on stream. She is like a legit awesome human being. The sport could not have found a better ambassador. And she's just a great person. So I tend to, if she's on something, I will just listen to it or follow it because I like to support the work she does. She's just great. So
Yeah.
very great for the game. So no, awesome, man. Yeah, I was not expected to be thrown into hosting duties, so I've had a little more alcohol than I
You
would have
handled it.
had.
You handled it well. You
Oh,
really just
that's
slid into it. Man. I
yeah.
like it. You did a good job, sir.
Yeah, I was basically told, "Hey, you're in charge. Have fun." What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think any other big happenings horse race wise going on. You gonna be traveling up to Saratoga this year? You're gonna be I don't think you're doing Vegas for NHC with us, right?
No, I'm not doing Vegas for NHC. I'm going to set some money aside to try to hopefully get up to Saratoga this year. I just started writing for the Arena Football League.
Oh wow,
So I will
wow,
be traveling to a couple arena football games. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up in Albany. And
nice,
can
nice.
give you a holler while I'm up there.
Yeah, give me a holler, man. Give me a holler. If you want to crash at my place, if you're up at Saratoga, feel free. We can make that happen. No big deal. And yeah, no, and I guess I will bring up Saratoga. What are your thoughts on Belmont at Saratoga? Because I have a coworker who has he has 2 seats that he has in the club, or they're in the general admission, but with seats section. So not clubhouse, the standard section. And he told me what they are getting for 4 days of Belmont at Saratoga per seat. It is a stupid amount of money.
Dude.
I think it was roughly $100 per seat per day. I think it was $400 for the 4 days. And that's about as cheap as you're going to find a seat. I mean, general admission is apparently $50 a day. It's 100 to get a seat. It is they moved the New York prices upstate, but what are your thoughts on the whole I mean, I know personally being a local, I'm super excited. It's a cool thing. It's going to happen for 2 years and then we're never going to get it again, which is fine. It'd be cool to kind of say I was there when. Would love to see a triple crown on the line, but what are your thoughts on the whole endeavor?
I love it. I mean, I love Saratoga. It's one of my favorite tracks to play. I mean, so is Belmont too. But like, I have absolutely no qualms, and I have no qualms about them changing the distance either. No one really seemed to bitch whenever was it New York? Or no, 'Tis the Law.
Yeah.
Whenever he won, going a mile and an eighth, going a 1-turn mile and an eighth at Belmont, like,
No.
yeah, man, let them go 2 turns, mile and an eighth at the Big Sandy, the Graveyard of Champions. Good, I like it. Go for it. More. Do it again. In fact, why not?
No, man. I tend to agree. I think it'll be a fun time. It'll be an interesting thing. It'll be interesting to see see the Belmont at Saratoga. It's cool. I mean, I know
I think with you, it'd be cool to say you were there. Like it's like
that's my thing. Like I was there when, like back in the day, I was there when, and
the quarters that they print that they fuck up on are the ones that are the more valuable.
This is valid. This is valid. Yeah, no, I mean, the other thing is it's very interesting that 4-day period. Anything within about 100-mile radius of Saratoga, look at hotel prices. It's laughable. Hey, there's places in Albany. So, and if you don't know the area, Albany is probably 40 minutes, 45 minutes from the Albany airport to the Saratoga racetrack. It's $1,000 a night for a hotel in Albany for a hotel room that would normally be like, you're staying at a Hampton or something. It'd be 125-ish a night. It's like a grand. Yeah. And my buddy was telling me, he was saying it's basically 100. Well, it's $400 for the 4 days for the seats. I'm going to try to get my top of the stretch box. I don't really even want to know what that's going to cost me, but that's going to hurt. But I like having it's always good to chill out and,
I have a really
only hurts
good
once, right?
Right. I have a really good track record of going to big racing events and paying nothing for lodging, thanks to like Tommy and me staying on his couch at the Embassy Suites in La
Okay.
Jolla. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. I mean,
yeah.
Tommy?
Tommy. Yeah. I
Tommy.
stayed at Tommy McNamara. Freaking Tommy. Yeah, I stayed in his Embassy Suites that entire Breeders' Cup weekend. Didn't pay a dime. It was awesome.
Oh, nice. I'll have to message him and see if he's going to be at an NHC, but because of course I due to finishing for BCBC, I end up with a free seat. So I'm like, oh, the tournament that I don't care about. The tournament I don't care about that I'm now going to go out and play. So I'm going to take it super seriously, very, very seriously.
I think you should. I think you should go and you should win one for the good guys out there.
I may not be in the room. I may be playing poker the whole time and not even in the room. I mean, I may just go in and like be like, oh, here's scratch. Okay, cool. I'm gonna put all my plays for the day. I'm gonna go. Peace out.
What weekend is the NHC?
It is the third weekend in March. So it is. I think I am.
Oh man, that's gonna be all up in March.
Yeah, it's the week.
Vegas is going to be.
It's the week before March Madness, so it's the conference championship weekend. So I get there the evening of the. Well, that was the same last year. It was great. So I get there the 12th, and then I fly home at like midnight the 17th. And last year when we were there, it was really cool because we went downtown Vegas, and so we were sitting in the Circa. We're like third floor Circa, and they have that gigantic television wall, and we're sitting there playing table games, and you can just like look over your shoulder and like, oh, here's the basketball game on a like 100-foot wide television screen,
as clear as it would be at your home.
It just is at your home, and it was such a cool time. So I'm gonna try to get downtown and or do that again. I really like the downtown thing. I think I prefer downtown Vegas instead of Vegas Strip Vegas. I'm one of those people. You can fault me all you want for it.
I can draw you a floor map to the Circa as to where like my honey holes are, like the optimum roulette seat at the roulette table where the dealer's back is to that gigantic bar. Like me and XFL Jim have done nothing but
back.
Yeah, we've done nothing but crush at that roulette table. I've got a honey hole.
So wait, you're talking the roulette table that's all the way on the left as you walk in towards the wall? Where over towards the sports betting kiosk on the left. Okay.
Yeah. So there, and then I've got it's either like $1 or 25-cent slot machine that paid me like $500 last time I was there.
Ooh, nice, very nice. Yeah, Gary and I decided that we would strategically place ourselves to watch the cute girls on the dancing on the whatever go-go platforms, and where we could watch both cute girls on go-go platforms and the big screen TV from a 3-card poker table where we're playing mins and getting free drinks, and it was a pretty awesome evening. I have no complaints, none whatsoever. So.
Someone mentioned intervention for me, my AI art. I'll have I made my wolf character just breaking some old ladies at Bones in the alleyway behind a Baptist church the other day. Yeah.
Oh. That's a little.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Chase.
Boom. 7, Dolores.
Oh man. Okay. Well, on that note, we are on the wrong lead. I'm gonna try to play some outro music and then shut the stream off and not screw anything up. So with that said, cross your fingers. This is gonna be bad, but please like the stream, sub, do all the things. Follow Chase's stuff because his podcast is just awesome. He gets a lot of great people on. He's absolutely hilariously entertaining on Twitter as well. We love having him on the stream. He's a good guy. I may go down and leave a divot on his couch for one of the Oaklawn prep races. It wouldn't take a lot of arm twisting for me to go visit Oaklawn. I've been close. I've been in Little Rock, but I've never quite been to Hot Springs. That was the most. There's some things you do in life just for the stories, and that's just for the story kind of a deal.
There we go. You're welcome. You're welcome anytime. We'll gladly have you back in the state.
Okay, your daughter still have the cute little trumpet that she plays when she walks around the house?
Okay. Well, she hasn't played it anymore, but she still has it at least.
Okay.
We'll make her play it for our entertainment.
Alrighty, until next time. Hopefully next weekend we'll have some more stuff up. Hopefully Josh has fixed the Chicago hospital systems, whatever thingy that he's fixing that they broke. And until next time, good luck with the races, guys.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Josh here, on the wrong lead. As you can see, I have gathered some of my favorite people together for a nice celebration of horse racing, of just the entire year. Nice holiday, get together here. You know, that's Merry Christmas. You know, Happy Hanukkah. We got all kinds of, you know, holidays depending on you know, what you celebrate. But tonight we're gonna I leave for like a half hour and he breaks everything.